Hello, I've got a great one today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the BitsPower Njord dual fin in, I don't really know how to pronounce that, but it's Njord. And it's a pretty interesting looking fan. It has some little fins. If you're looking for just an overcap summary, my TLDR is at the end of the video. And at this time, I'd also like to thank BitsPower for sending me this sample fan to review and take a look at. No money exchanged hands, they just provided me a product. So a little bit of spec information. This is $100 for 3 fans, as I could find it standard on Amazon. That puts it into a more expensive type fan category, so think like $33-ish per fan. Dual ball bearing is what I found, and the other spec information listed on here. Alright, here we go. This is the way the Njord dual fin RGB looks. So it does have RGB on an inner ring around, well, the inside edge. Now, there isn't that much of a translucent layer to distribute the light, because you can see the pinpoint lights, but if you're looking at it straight from the front, it doesn't look half bad. But if you do see it from an angle, you do see individual LEDs. So that, as a general note about the appearance of this fan, it does have some rubber padding around the edges, which will help with some vibrations. The frame itself is very basic, just flat black, no real extra features. The blades go really close up to the front edge. I was spinning at a low RPM, so you don't need to worry about my fingers. Back of it, again, overall fairly basic. One thing I would like to note is these sides seem very thick, especially when I compare it to other fans like my Noctua. You can just see that it seems to be quite a bit thicker, which does eat into the fan size by a little bit. If we stop the fan blade, you can see how the light illuminates the blades, just that kind of thing. So it's white, so it reflects the light. And you can see, of course, why it's called the dual fin. So it has these secondary small blades around the central hub with the larger, I'm going to say more pressure type blades. But because of the large gaps, it's not really a pressure fan. So, I don't know, it's there for more like a visual purpose than anything else. And it has these ridges on it, which do help direct airflow, which is a cool extra feature. The main problem I see on this fan, though, is actually these back struts are not particularly shaped. They're actually fairly flat. They have a little bit of curvature or shape to them, but overall not too much. This back strut, though, I like this. This is nice and narrow and thin. That is an A+. So many other brands make it extra thick, and this is nice, compact, and doesn't obstruct airflow all that much. I guess it comes down to how it does in performance testing to know whether or not these little sub-fins really do anything. But either way, I think it gives a pretty unique appearance to this fan. The dual fin also comes with a bunch of extras. So it has LED and fan controllers, so they are separate, which is kind of a downside, rather than having a combined one. But these days you don't really have hard drives, so you have plenty of SATA power if you want to hook them up. And that just gives you the ability to control these fans separately, or not separately, together as part of the larger system in case your motherboard doesn't have enough fan headers. So it's just a nice extra that comes in the 3-pack. And I did forget to mention, so it does have this handy dandy extension cable. You can see on there. Get into the camera. Hopefully you can see it, but it has multiple ports on it. And it plugs right into there. So you got one for in, one for out. And it handles the RGB and the fan speed all through kind of one compact cable, splits out to 2, so you can daisy chain through the fans rather than through the hubs.
Before we get into the data, I would like to thank Mint Mobile for being today's video partner. Thanks to Mint Mobile's wireless plans, it is possible to not only switch away from big, expensive mobile companies, but also to have a quality, affordable plan for me and my family. Mint Mobile's premium wireless plans start at just $15 a month for a 3-month plan. For that, I can get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I can bring my own phone and keep my current phone number, so you don't need to memorize a new phone number, something I have always found difficult. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones have, you can sign up and activate immediately right from your own phone, from the comfort of your own home. If by any chance your phone doesn't have an eSIM card, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. And right now, for new customers, Mint Mobile is offering 50% off their 12-month unlimited plan. It's the best deal of the year, but it's only available for a limited time. If you're interested in learning more about Mint Mobile and switching, visit my link up above or the link in the video description down below.
The first series of tests are in a case simulation. This does assume an air-cooled type system, so the measurement is more or less from the back of the fans to the rough position of a CPU socket. Again, a front-to-back airflow type design, or for the 6-inch mark in particular, putting fans at the bottom of your case and having them blow up towards your GPU. So, like I just said, 6-inch mark, air flowing up towards the GPU, or a really short ITX type case with a front-to-back airflow type design. I know they're not very common, but this is that assumption. If you're looking at more like a DAN case or one of the other, the Terra Fractal, you want to look more like pressure scenarios, so that's going to be more like a CFM or performance through an air cooler will better simulate the kind of airspeed performance you're going to get in those type of situations. Then you have the 9-inch mark. This would be like a compact tower, something that can hold a standard ATX motherboard, but no extra room, so a very short GPU inside that type of case. Then the 11-inch mark, standard mid towers, 320mm class fans in terms of that length of the case across the bottom. And then the 14.5-inch mark, truly large towers like the Frankenstein Torn, 340mm class fans. Then we need something standard to compare every fan against. This is my control fan. 3 parts A12X5 to 1 part A14, blended together to create the quote perfect fan. It's not really perfect because there are compromises with its design or simulation, but it gives a good baseline. So fans that perform over top of it would be considered good, better, best. Fans that perform underneath it would be considered okay to terrible, depending on how far it deviates. So the dual fin isn't particularly a strong performer at the 6 or the 9-inch mark, but amazingly it's a very flat line and doesn't lose much performance across to a mid-sized case, but after that it drops away steeply. It just wasn't getting much airflow by there, so go figure. At 100% pitot fan signaling, it's a line trending very similar to my control fan, but it's outputting, like it's okay. It's not super strong, but it's okay. Comparing against other fans, so it's sitting right here below this main pack of good fans. So, you know, as you go down the pack towards the bottom of it, they become less good. So it is sitting kind of outside that, so it's kind of in this okay fan category. Looking at it in bar graph form at the 10.5 decibel mark, it is towards the bottom of the graphs. It does fairly strong at the 6 and the 11-inch marks, but at 14.5 it's a very weak performer, which is why it kind of averages out to the score it does. Then we have my second noise normalized level, and that's 17.5 decibels, rounded up to 18 for the graphs purposes. And it is underperforming compared to this main grouping of fans. So it still kind of is in that okay category for small to mid-sized cases, but larger cases it isn't quite hitting the mark that I really want to expect. Again, taking a look at it in bar graph form, there it is. And you can see a bunch of other fans on here, as well as their RPMs. Taking a look at 100% PEW fan signaling, well, here it does relatively okay. You can see on the labels up here the RPM that the fans are hitting, as well as the decibel reading. And it's kind of okay. It's a little bit on the noisy side, not too crazy outlandish compared to some of the other ones, but it's only an okay performer in terms of that airflow, airspeed performance. Locking in to specific RPMs. So we're just locking that RPM, and we get to take a look at the noise level. So at 800 RPM, its noise level is, well, it's not outlandish. And its airspeed performance is a little bit underwhelming, anything other than the 6-inch mark. Take a look at 1500, and it's at the bottom of the graph. It is quite a lot noisier than a lot of the other fans that are around it in its positioning, and only fans that do significantly more performance are louder than it. So taking a look at airspeed versus noise, and here it is. So right here in the middle, you'll notice this steep curve up. So this potentially could be a harmonic or just like an efficiency curve within the fan, where it just gains a lot of performance for not a lot of extra noise. So it just hits an efficiency part. And then it gets really noisy. So this is like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. At 80% pitot fan signaling, I found that it just hit a harmonic frequency, got really noisy. And then once you got past that, it got significantly quieter again. So I don't like harmonics in fans, and it's something that I would like to see brands, as they continue to iterate their fan models, to try to figure out a way to get rid of them. So this is a goal for the dual fin version 2, which I hope that BitsPower will produce. And taking a look at the same thing, but this time in Sewn. So it's just a different way of taking a look at noise data, where it kind of squishes together quieter noises and stretches out them as they get noisier. So you can really see how it compares to other fans. Now we're taking a look at airspeed through my CPU cooler, the Noctua U12A. And the first graph over here on the left side is meters per second versus RPM. This is basically a blade efficiency graph. It is how good is this particular blade design at shoving air through a cooler. And despite this fan's kind of unorthodox blade design, it does relatively okay in doing this. It's not quite hitting my control fan, but it's doing okay. Now, in terms of airspeed versus noise level, this is where this fan doesn't quite hit the mark. It's just a bit too noisy for the performance that it achieves. But let's take a look how it compares, well, against my radiator. So thanks to viewers like you supporting this channel, I was able to acquire a radiator, Nemesis 140GTX, I think the name is. And it's just a thick boy radiator. So hopefully at some point I'll build a custom system for doing my thermal tests. But right now the best I can do is getting airspeed going through it. And so I created a little chart to compare it versus my U12A. So this isn't saying that the thermal performance that you can achieve with both is the same. This is the resistance to the airflow going through it is the same. And they line up fairly closely. As a matter of fact, the Nemesis radiator was slightly easier than the U12A for this fan to push air through. So kind of go figure there. And once again, thanks to viewers like you, I am starting to be able to generate some kind of thermal data, but I'm not particularly happy with the test. Right now, I have a Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. This is mislabeled. It's a Liquid Freezer 3. Just like that's mislabeled. That should be the Arctic freezer. Anyways, one standard fan on it locked at a particular RPM, and I have the other fan doing its full range going through it. And I lock the CPU in at 150 watts, where I know that even the most pitiful 120 millimeter class fan won't cause it to overheat and redline at that level. It's just where I am with this testing at this point. I hope to iterate and improve it later on, but that's going to wait for version 3 of my testing. Right now I'm kind of at like version 2.4, 2.5, whatever it is. And I would hopefully set a higher thermal load or just a simpler single cooler so that I get kind of that hotter sequence. But regardless of that, this is where the dual fin lies on this graph. So it is in the middle of the pack right now. You can see 100% 17.5 decibels in the red line and the 10.5 decibel noise normalized mark in the blue line, and hopefully it's clear enough that you can read some of the other values for other fans, but I averaged the results and ranked them, that way. Again, not particularly happy with the test, but this is where it is right now with what this little channel can do. future growth. It is future growth. So if you like what I'm doing, think about subscribing, becoming a YouTube member or patron, because every penny is going into getting me to version 3 of this testing, which is kind of my end goal. Anyways, how does it compare against other fans at noise normalized results? Air speed. This is the test system. And the red line is 10.5 decibel mark, and the blue line bar is 17.5 decibels. The dual fin is last. It is well below the rest of the fans. At locked in 800 RPM mark, the dual fin is at the bottom, and its noise level is, well, it isn't too far from other fans, but there are other ones that perform significantly better than it that are significantly quieter than it, and this is how the weighing factors. At 1,500 RPM, the dual fin is still at the bottom, and this is the weighing factor. And at 100% PW fan signaling, with its 1,800 RPM mark, it is a bit, not too bad, on the noisy side compared to other fans that have similar RPMs, but it's not able to produce the same kind of air flow as ones that make the same amount of noise as it, which is the problem with this fan. Now we're taking a look at airspeed versus decibels going through the CPU cooler. And the dual fin, you can clearly see how it's doing it. Just isn't able to deliver the static pressure to really compete with these other fans. Now we're on to CFM testing. CFM testing, you got a fan, you got a tube, you slap the fan up against the tube, and you blow the air down it. The control fan here is just the A12X25. This sort of test, in my opinion, isn't super applicable to computer cases because it pre-focuses all the airflow and doesn't allow the air to expand. So my case simulation test is approximately the width of a standard computer case, meaning the glass wall to the edge of the tray inside the system. So that's the amount of expansion that's in there. This test gives no expansion and just funnels all the air. So a fan that shoots air off to the side, it still all gets funneled. So in a blade efficiency like CFM versus RPM, they're all going to line up perfectly with each other. And that's why I don't really like this test. And there's more to computer cases and cooling your computer than just CFM. CFM matters, but so does how the air gets directed. Now that I've done my mini rant, CFM versus decibels, it falls apart. It's noisy. We know this. How does it rank in terms of CFM noise normalized results? 10.5 and 17.5 decibel marks, red and blue respectively. It is at the bottom of the graphs. It's just doesn't deliver the airflow that to be a top performer here. At 100% PWM fan signaling, well, it is in last place from the fans that were selected here, but it is at the bottom of the graphs. They're just other fans that can deliver more airflow, and also considering its noise level. CFM versus decibel rating, and you can see how it is. Mind, it's again not the worst. You can see a fan, Swap Fan EX reverse blade sitting right down there. Now, I do want to note that I did figure out why they rank so badly in this test, and it's all about my anemometer, that it wants airflow to cycle into it in one direction, and the reverse fans tend to blow air in the opposite direction, and it causes extra turbulence, and it doesn't work right. So again, version 3 of my testing. I want to get there. Now into value proposition. This is performance per dollar, well, utilizing the approximate value of this fan, and it's a 3-pack for $100, so it's $33 per fan. And we saw that it performed more or less average at best, so it's not a good value. This fan needs to come down in price significantly to be a strong recommendation here, unfortunately. In CFM testing, it's the same story. It's just a bit too expensive for what it can deliver. And same with the CPU cooler. Okay, this is my TLDR for the dual fin. In CPU low wattage, it's a bad performer. Rank value is not good. High wattage, yeah, don't even bother. For computer cases, for small and compact ones, it's an average performer, but its value is not very good. And for large and medium-sized cases, it's more or less average, but its value is not great. This is the raw data. The data does belong to me and my channel. So my remarks about this fan. I think it's a very unique design, but it doesn't meet the performance that I generally am looking for in one of the fans to give a strong this is a great fan. It's a bit too expensive, so there's never a bad product, there's a bad price for said product. If the price comes down significantly, it then gets a strong value recommendation. But as it is, it's just a little bit too much for the performance that it delivers. I think it looks cool, but I hope BitsPower revs this fan, sees how I test it, sees what's going on with it, and will improve upon it. That is my hope, and that they don't think of this as just a negative review, because I like reviewing fans, and having partners, companies that are willing to work with me to some extent, makes it easier to take a look at a wider spectrum of products. Anyways, if you do like this channel, I don't want to be 100% relying on companies or sponsors or partnerships or anything like that. But the only way I can do that is if viewers like you join me as Patreon or YouTube memberships. I know that's a hard thing to ask for. I'm just a random person on the internet. I am making videos. But if you're not able to do that, I hope that you're willing to hit that subscribe button and maybe throw me a like, check out my videos. I'm always reviewing new fans. If you got ones that you want me to take a look at, leave it in the comment section down below. Questions, comments, ways you can improve the videos. I'm always willing to try to iterate these videos and make them a little bit better every time. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and I hope to see you next time here on Computer Tech and More.